Hello.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 4 of Risk to Revenue, the streaming sessions. If you're new here, I am your host, Megan Shapiro. I always forget to do the little banners, so you'll get used to that if you're new. By way of introduction, I am a full-time practicing construction litigator. Been practicing for about 15 years or so, almost 15 years, doing mostly construction litigation. And my passion on the side is proactive strategic risk management. So about 6 months ago, I really started shifting my focus, efforts, and energy on training construction leaders on how they can increase profits through proactive risk management. Heather.
Yes.
Give them your intro.
My name is Heather Lair. I am with Sherman Lair Custom Tile Works. I've been in the business, kind of born into it, but started really when I was about 21. So back in, I guess, 96, maybe something like that. Anyway, it's been a long time, but we've been doing it for a while. I'm a project manager, secretary, kind of a jack of all trades, whatever needs to happen, safety, you name it, insurance, all of the things.
All the fun things.
Yes.
So here is the question people really want to know because it's my favorite story. How do we know each other, Heather?
You represent Sherman Lair Custom Tile as our litigation specialist, our attorney extraordinaire, our jack of all trades when it comes to all questions needed to answer that.
Ooh.
No matter what it is, you seem to have an answer for us.
Or
Definitely all construction related. Yes.
I can at least try to find the answer, even if it's not always the answer you guys want to hear, but I at least try.
Yes. No, there's always honesty in that. So that's good.
And so leading up to getting ready for this, we both were like, wait, how long have we been working together? And so we both had to check with our respective controllers, and it turns out we are coming up on our 10-year anniversary.
I know. It's hard to believe. I feel like it's been forever, a good forever, but it's just, to put a calendar to it is kind of crazy.
I know. When Nicole's our controller, she was like, oh, it's been since 2015. I was like, for some reason, when you asked me the question, 2015 popped into my head and I thought that was right, but I wanted to confirm with her. And then I realized, wow, this is 2024. We're coming up on our 10-year anniversary. We better plan something big.
I know. Have some sort of a celebration, right?
I know.
That's monumental.
It really is. It really is. You guys are one of my longest relationships. I mean, that's small feat. So it's quite exciting for me.
We appreciate you. Trust me.
Oh, and I appreciate you guys too. It's I love everybody over there. It's a family-owned business.
It is.
I'm gonna let you say that when I figure out how to do our little streamers here. There we go. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. Let me switch these because it makes more sense to do this one first. Is that what I just had? No, there we go. Yeah, give us the company. There we go. There we go. Go for it.
My dad and his ex-partner started the business in 79, basically starting out as just a little one bucket shop installing tile. They started, their first biggest project was Gold River. They connected with R.C. Powell and did the Powell houses over in Gold River. That was like in 83, 84. So I kind of came in later on that when we were doing Lincoln Hills and working with Del Webb at the time. And I started out there with my dad, probably in 95, 96. And so I handle project manage residential builders. Tract housing is my main priority. I deal with some remodels, some some new construction, custom homes, a little bit of commercial. I'm starting to get more involved in that as we've seen a shift in the housing market and just what home builders are offering in the market today.
So in case anybody watching doesn't know, I'm in Sacramento, California. So Sherman Lair is also headquartered in Sacramento. But yes. Heather, what areas do you actually service? Because I know it goes far beyond just Sacramento.
It does. We've done work down as far as Fresno and Visalia. We've done some work previous years in Reno, Nevada. But typically we try to stay, within our little bubble, I guess. But we do a lot of work down in Napa, Sonoma, St. Helena. We try to stay kind of out of San Francisco city. But we get close. It gets hard to get down into like your San Jose or South bay areas without it being a long haul for our drivers.
Yeah, that makes for a long day for the field guys for sure.
Well, yeah, that's 6 hours, sometimes 8 hours behind a window. That's a long time to ask. It's a lot to
Yes.
ask and then go put in an 8-hour day. So
Right, absolutely. Okay, we're gonna pause and welcome some of our viewers. Josh is here. Hi, Josh.
Hi,
and
Josh.
he's gonna have a question, but first let's welcome Matt.
Hi,
Matt, I'm super excited that Matt is here because I ran a little baby mini contest last week asking for feedback on key contractual provisions that cause people particular headaches. And I offered a free 30-minute Ask Me Anything About Your Construction Contract coffee chat to one person who contributed. And Matt was our big winner. So Matt and I are going to have, so we're going to have our chat, I think, in 2 weeks. I think I saw it pop through on the calendar. So super excited Matt is here. Oh my gosh, Jesse made it. Hi, Jesse. Jesse is hosting a super exciting retreat in San Diego the first weekend in June called Reciprocal Propulsion. I can talk. And I'm going. So I'm super excited about that. So we're happy Jesse's here.
We love San Diego.
Josh has a question for you. Josh is a PM, by the way. Well,
hi,
Josh has a background as a PM. He's not currently a PM. He loves to say he's just a stay-at-home dad. Background in PM. Oh boy, I didn't read the question ahead of time. I just saw Heather Howe, and then I decided to pop it up there. So okay, Heather, let's hear your answer on this one.
Do you want me to read the question, or are we good?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Heather, how would you describe Megan on a scale from a shark to a shark as a lawyer? Well, Josh, I wouldn't want Megan on the opposite side of the table from me. So let's just say that she's a little terrifying, but she's definitely gets the job done.
Thank you. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
It's totally a compliment. Yeah, I know. I want you on my side, not the other side. So I'm very happy to have you.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. We did your background. We did the company. Oh wait, we didn't do your background yet, did we? Or did you cover that initially?
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I basically, my training is all OJT. It's all on the job training. Mr. Lair, my dad, was my, biggest teacher. I learned everything I know from him. I had some experience over the years with some different people, different entities of our business. But he kind of just threw me in and said, figure it out. So, but yeah, it's been full force since I would say about 22. I'll be 50 this year. So, 28 years in the making.
So just a little bit of experience, just a tad
bit. Yeah.
Just a little.
Chalk it up to something.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to shift away from the casual intros and we're going to talk a little bit about what we're actually here for, which is risk in your construction company. And I'm sure, I think a lot of people are really excited to hear, they always want to peek behind the curtain to see how other companies are sort of handling it. So I think this is going to be really an insightful conversation for people. So let's start with the key challenges that your company is facing in the current construction industry, particularly in light of 2024 and what our economy is doing this year.
Yeah. Bless the economy. It's always the same. We're always battling the changes for me in the housing market and how people are shopping. Right now, people are currently still, I think, in a state of shock that we're no longer at a 3% interest rate. So that's changed a lot for us. And then with every time there's a downturn, we lose guys, we lose laborers, we lose them to other trades. Because they're young when they come in, they're 18, 19 when they start, and they realize, one, it's heavy lifting and they don't want to do it. And I can make more money over here doing this, and it's not the up and down yo-yo. And then, in the housing industry, we're facing the huge issue from our builders specifying tile as their standard and going to LVP instead of that. So, and then we see that again in commercial as well. So just trying to navigate how the industry changes, and it changes consistently. It seems with every downturn, there's a change to cost saving to figure out what they can do to save money on their end and offer homeowners the best value.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this a little bit offline when we had lunch together last week. But do you have any sort of plan in terms of how you want to address the LVP problem, because it doesn't seem like that's going to be going away anytime soon, regardless of how we might feel about the quality of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we entertain the thought of getting our own flooring license. You take on your own risks, again, of course, doing that. So it's whether or not you want to take on the risks associated with a whole new trade that, one, you're not as familiar with. I mean, we work side by side, the flooring industry, the carpet, the wood installers and LVP installers, but it's not something that we do. So, you're hiring all new people and you're kind of pretty much starting over. So yeah. I think those are questions that we have to ask ourselves. And I'm not sure that we necessarily want to go down that route, but we think about it. We try to think about how we can expand all the time, or how we can at least make what we're doing currently profitable.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the key word right there. Make what we're currently doing profitable.
Yes.
I'm optimistic for 2025 to 2030. I'm optimistic.
I'm hoping this is just a leap year in the crate. You know what I mean? Let us all get our ducks in a row and then we can jump into 2025.
Yep. That's what I'm hearing. I'm just putting all my faith in that economic prediction. Yep. Okay. So in your experience, what are the most common risks that tile subcontractors face on construction projects?
I would say your basic safety issues, whether or not things are, as far as, prevalent risk to your, employees. And also, you run the risk of being shopped out. You run the risk of products changing. You run the risk of not being able to meet somebody's schedule because of the lack of labor that we see right now. There's a lot of things I feel that are risks, but once you're on the job, I think that it's a pretty even flow for the most part. And so I think once on the actual project, your biggest risk is your safety and, the well-being of your employees.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a huge risk. I am a little bit surprised, just given our background, that you don't see another giant risk to what you do.
Well, with home building, there's also the giant risks of the animal that is the national home builders, if that's the risk. Yeah. That we all take it, knowing what that risk is when you're dealing with some of the big national builders. As we've gotten ourselves in some hot water dealing with that. But yeah, that once you're going on the project and long term with the contractor, you kind of take on their faults and their shortcomings.
Yeah, I think it seems to me in a lot of ways, I almost prefer commercial over residential, just because the way master agreements are written, it's almost like indentured servitude to some extent, right? It's like, try to break a master agreement, good luck, right?
Yeah,
so it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if only they treated that partnership the same in retrospect, right? We're so easily to be replaced when they don't need us anymore, but we're indentured to them basically. It's why we haven't, it's why we're not currently working with big national builders. It's terrified me to get into the litigation process that we got into. Class action lawsuits are no joke, and they're here to take construction industries down, and they wrap everybody as a whole. And it's one of the scariest things I've ever been a part of and learned about, and it's not the kind of lessons I really want to learn.
Yeah. And I think we talk on LinkedIn a lot in, various posts and comments, that I think unless or until people have actually been involved in one of these, they really don't fully understand or appreciate the emotional toll, even for businesses, the emotional toll that it takes to be roped into this constant stream of lawsuits, some of which can take, 5 years to resolve. And you're just sitting there stressed the whole time.
Yeah. And a whole bank account later. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not, class action lawsuits are not designed for us to win, but they're not designed for homeowners to win either. I think that's the biggest thing that I wish was pushed out more. The lawyers and all them are the ones making the money. The homeowners are left with a bad title and realizing that they have to fix these damages that they claim that they have, in hopes of getting a couple $1,000s by the time you have a lawsuit or a class action lawsuit of 50 homes,
Yeah.
people are getting pennies on the dime.
Yeah. And I think you really nailed it on the head there, because the homeowners, I'll be sitting in these depositions where I finally get a chance to question the homeowners about the allegations that they're making. And it's crazy how many times I will say to a homeowner, so give me all of the complaints that you have about your tile. And they'll say, oh, I don't have any complaints about my tile. My tile's fine. And I'll say, well, does it surprise you then to know that you're suing the tile subcontractor? And they will be completely shocked. They will have had no idea that they have filed a lawsuit against you for issues with their tile. And they're looking at their attorney and they're like, my tile's fine. That's like one of the only things that's fine, but my tile's fine. So yeah, you're right. It's the system is not set up to benefit any of the people that it actually should. It's a broken system, to be sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we've always come from the standpoint of customer service. So give me an opportunity to fix what's wrong. If there's really an issue, let me fix it. I'm happy to come in and fix it, even if it costs us thousands of dollars. I don't like it, but it is what it is. If something's failed and we're responsible, we stand up for that.
Yep, absolutely.
So, but there's risks in that too. Doing what's right.
Yes, there are, because once you touch it again.
Yes. It's my responsibility again.
Host of issues that go along with touching it again. So
yeah.
That's a conversation that we've had many times.
Yes.
So Josh is super happy that you're not me. I'm just happy to have somebody else, not me, that relates to him. And Matt, does it show the whole thing? It does. Okay. Matt has seen issues with disagreements on layout to expectations that stone should have been sealed on all sides prior to installation. That's really interesting. Do you deal with that with tile, Heather? You and I have never talked about this.
As far as disagreements on layout, I mean, we typically follow ANSI standards. There are some stones that do need to be sealed prior to going in, all sides, front and bottom, to keep so that grout doesn't soak into the stone. But yeah, I mean, we've had many conversations with people that think it should be laid out one way versus the other. We usually try to come at it with our best experience and knowledge with our tile installers. But some people are particular in the way that it's done. So, but yeah, all stone should be sealed no matter what, even if it's before or after. But there are some that are even porous, like even some of the like Saltillo pavers and things like that. Those all have to be sealed prior to installation too. So
that's really interesting.
Porous.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that there were types of tile that needed to be sealed ahead of time. Although now that you say it that way, it makes sense, right? Because just like concrete, it's pervious. It's designed to have water flow through it if it's exposed to water. So that does make sense. So that's really interesting.
Well, yeah, they even make some of the cement tiles, like the 8x8 cement tiles, and those all have to be sealed before we install them too.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay. Can you share an example of a project where proactive risk management made a significant difference in the outcome?
Yes. As we've kind of touched on, I would say that our work with the National Home Builder was, we had a risk management strategy with you in order to meet with our, the opposing team, should I say, many mediations and many phone calls, many emails. But had that went any other way, Sherman-Lehrer would have been out of business. So, I mean, your risk management strategy for us is what got us to the other side of it. Thank goodness.
No, it was definitely our strategy. I mean, that was probably in the life of our relationship the most catastrophic potential loss that we faced, I think. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
Oh, in our business period. Yeah.
Yeah. That one was a rough one. And I've talked before. I did an episode, I think it was episode 2 of Risk to Revenue. I had Rocio Luna on, and she is a broker for construction insurance policies. So she's amazing. And so I've talked before in general terms about how dangerous from a risk management standpoint construction insurance policies can be, particularly when the insured, the contractor, doesn't necessarily understand that the policies are not designed to cover allegations that your work failed. They're designed to cover allegations that your work failed and caused damage to other work that wasn't your own.
Yes.
And in cases where either you have an inexperienced or less sophisticated attorney on the plaintiff side, on the homeowner side, and they're not making the allegations in a way that is specifically designed to trigger that particular part of coverage, or you have, in the case of some national home builders, a desire to intentionally leverage that to try to put subcontractors out of business when the subcontractor has decided to not do work with them anymore.
Okay.
And that's a real challenge. And it requires a lot of creative problem solving and risk management strategizing. And it was, it's a process, but if you take the time, well, you don't really have a choice if you're actually already in the law. You don't have a choice, right? The time is what the time is. Yeah, if you make the time. But if you make the decision to commit to working with your attorney or your insurance appointed attorney or whoever it is that is representing you on that, to really try to figure out a path forward. There are paths forward, but it's expensive and it's time consuming and it's far from certain, but it definitely can pay off, because that one was what we finally settled that, about 3 years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just before 2020,
yeah. So that was pre-COVID, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. It was.
Yeah. So obviously the company survived. So we made it through, which was obviously that was the D-Day scenario, is that like this is going to be the case that puts us out of business. And so fortunately we were able to avoid that, which was wonderful, of course.
Yeah, no. Thank God we accomplished the goal.
Exactly.
And I can't say enough to having you there. I mean, you made everything very easy, very seamless. I wasn't as terrified. Mr. Lair kind of kept myself away from it for a while. So, and then once I actually sat down, I was like, this is a lot more terrifying than what you've been letting on, which, he's good at minimizing his own problems. So to have you go there was amazing. We couldn't have done it without you. And I say that wholeheartedly.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. But honestly, I mean, it's a huge credit to the trust that your dad had with me and the strength of the relationship that we were able to build, because it took a lot of trust on his part to have such a potentially catastrophic loss, and to know that like I'm the only one standing in between him and that loss, right? And I didn't take that lightly. I didn't take that lightly at all. Your dad and I had many conversations about him losing sleep at night, and I didn't share this at the time because it wouldn't really do much to instill confidence in him. But I lost a lot of sleep about that one too. I did. Yeah. I mean, I knew how high the stakes were, and so so it was definitely the wasn't the best outcome, but it was an outcome that allowed the company to survive, and that was a credit to you guys and what you were willing to do to make that happen. So it was the best outcome we could have gotten, I think.
Yeah, no, it's not always perfect, but hey, we're on the other side of it.
Yeah. Okay. Josh says, you mentioned stress, the stress of not knowing if you'll even have a company by the end of the day. Every day yes, that's exactly right. That's what we're living in that. Cause that case lasted right up to 5 years. I think we were coming up on the 5-year statute, this 5-year statutory deadline to take the case to trial. So in California, for those of you who don't know, in California, you have 5 years from the date that a lawsuit is filed to take it to trial. Or else it'll be automatically dismissed. And so we were coming right up on that. That case lasted almost every bit of 5 years. So it was stressful.
It was a long haul.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I wish these would like show me when I've used them or not. Sorry. Okay, here we go. As a project manager, how do you identify potential risks before they become issues?
Typically, I mean, it's kind of hard. You try to work with builders that builders that are vetted, that pay their bills, that don't have the issues that some have. I think we've gotten a lot smarter in trying to do our research on the front end as to who we will bid to and won't bid to. So you kind of get in your role of those that you're comfortable with. In the construction industry, especially in Sacramento, it is such a small pool of people that you tend to follow the person because they pop up at another business or, another construction company. So that helps to navigate some of those risks, is to know how that kind of company is. But I think it's been more so as of late, just really vetting the builders that we want to work with, the contractors that we want to work with, and knowing them and their work and history.
Yeah. And I think I'm curious if you would agree with this. I feel like I've noticed in our area, at least over the last, I'm going to say 5 to 7 years, that that's become even more important, because it feels to me like the integrity on. So let me back up. I have a big rant that I've done several times on LinkedIn Lives, so I'm not going to repeat the rant now, but I hate when builders and GCs use the term trade partner and they don't actually back that up. And it just becomes marketing fluff. Like, oh no, we value our trade partners, but they treat you like shit and sue you all the time. So it's like, right. I get real pissed off about that. So I've ranted about that a lot. And it feels to me like, at least again, in our area in Northern California, over the last 5 to 7 years or so ish, that there's been a shift in a lot of the builders in terms of, it felt like prior to that, they meant it when they said trade partners, and they really were long-lasting relationships. They valued that relationship. They would work with you to address homeowner complaints and issues. But I feel like there's been a real marked move away from that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that when you call someone a trade partner, I take that seriously. I mean, I'm partnering with you as a builder and thinking that you're going to come to our aid should there be any problems. I'm going to back you, you back me. I think that's why I continue to work with the home builders that I do, because I know that I can call those people and I can have those conversations, and they will work with us, whether it's for pricing on a job, for, it keeps me in touch with where I'm at. I may not win every contract, but they'll have the conversation with me to tell me where I was, off on some things, and I think you build that rapport. They build knowing that we will take care of our issues. We don't skirt away if there's customer service problems. Our phones are always open. You can reach myself or my dad or any one of us at any time. So I think that's helped us in building those partnerships with the builders. But it has become few and far between, because like you say, they use it as a marketing ploy. I think that it sounds nice and warm and cozy when you sit down at that first meeting to think that, hey, we're all a part of a team. But, I mean, everyone's kind of out for themselves in the big picture.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of a couple of builders in particular that I know you work with that they almost never actually bring their subcontractors into the construction defect lawsuits. They're getting sued by the homeowners because it's just not because the work is bad. I always have to give this disclaimer. I don't agree that the work is bad. I think that like the plaintiff side homeowner attorneys are predatory. Not all of them. Arguably many of them are pretty predatory. And they convince these homeowners that this is like a good idea and a good thing that they need to do so that they can get free money to fix their house. Yeah. And so the lawsuits get filed regardless of merit. And some builders immediately bring in every subcontractor who touched the project, which they can do under their contracts. But others, like the ones that you're mostly doing work with these days, because I'm in this field, I know they're getting sued. I know that the lawsuits are happening, but they're not bringing the subs in because they mean it when they say we're a partnership. Sorry, what'd you say, Heather?
Yeah. No, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Yeah, no, we lost it for a second. Yeah, no, I mean, which I'm proud to work for those builders. If it's a real problem with the builders, then I'm happy to step up and take care of the issue. And I think that the builders that we have chosen to work with, they know that about their trade partners because they respect them as a true partner. And those people stand up when there's a problem and they fix the problem in hopes to minimize the amount of situations that the builder gets in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. What strategies do you use to manage and mitigate risks on your projects and within the business as a whole? We've already talked a little bit about projects. So if you want to focus this one on more of the business.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a matter of having a good team. having the proper insurance in place, you know what I mean? It's as boring as insurance can be. It's important in our line of work to make sure that our employees are covered, that the workman comp is in place. And just kind of knowing, I feel like just on the daily basis of what your risks are. I mean, I feel like every day being in business for yourself is a risk. Being in construction itself is a risk. I tell my children wholeheartedly, stay away. And I think a lot of it's hard to mitigate until there is a problem. So unless you have the proper team in place for when those risks arise, then it's kind of hard to navigate what's going to come at you. I mean, because I would have never anticipated what came at us and lasted for 5 years. I would have never imagined that happening to us, especially when you feel that you do all the right things as a business and you're fair and honest and do those things. So it was a huge blow, but so I think it's hard. I just think that we've aligned ourselves with good people, that are open to conversations, people we can get in touch with and have the conversations that we need to have. You have to realize, I think, as a business owner, that there's people that you need to pay that know more than you that will help you get the job done. You can't be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like I'm not going to install my own tile.
There's professionals for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Okay. How important do you think it is for construction leaders to, you basically just answered this one. How important do you think it is for construction leaders to invest in learning about risk management?
Well, I think you got to learn the risk before you can even start the business. I mean, you have to have, without risk, there is no reward. So you have to take the risk if that's what you feel you need to do. But I think you have to educate yourself on what those risks are. And I think to have that in place before you ever even open your doors as a business.
Absolutely. And you have had a little bit of a somewhat unique advantage on that point, right? Because you do have your dad who has, started the business well before you were a part of it. And so do you have any suggestions or tips for people that might not be as fortunate to have sort of like a built-in teacher about those things? Like, what would you recommend to the person who is like, I think I want to I'm really great at my job in the field. I want to now take this and go start my own business, but I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to start, obviously talking to those licensing schools and figuring out what it takes to even run a business. I mean, I don't know that I would be so educated if it wasn't for my dad and learning all the things that I've learned from him. But yeah, I just think you have to immerse yourself. You have to ask the people who have started the business that you want to be in. We have friendships in the business with other tile contractors that we can call and ask questions if we don't understand it or we don't get it or we're experiencing a problem that maybe they've had. So I think the best thing is to create relationships within your own industry. You're going to compete, but there's enough work out there to feed everyone if you're doing the right thing and doing the right job.
I love that attitude because so often we get we as a society just get sort of roped into this idea of like a scarcity mindset where it's like, there's not enough food to go around. And so I'm just going to take, and I don't want anybody else to have it all. And I think you really nailed it. I think having those mutually beneficial and supportive relationships, even with your quote unquote competitors, because there is enough work for everybody.
There is. When it's up, it's up. When it's down, it's, there's nothing for anyone. So we're kind of always in the same boat together. But I think how you treat the other people that are in your same industry is just as important as you treat your customers, your contractors, and to have that respect. If a business, say, another tile company goes out of business, I want those guys to know that they could come work for me and that I'm a decent company to work for. So I think that's important too, in order to attract people for labor purposes and work purposes.
Yeah. And I think that that's even more important in our current economic climate, because unfortunately we are seeing a lot of the smaller, trade businesses, unfortunately not being able to weather this downturn. And so we are seeing more of them shutting their doors, and those guys do have to go somewhere. And that's a really great point. And it's in a weird way, a little bit of a silver lining in terms of how to address the sort of labor shortage problem, because at least we're keeping everybody employed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least the door's open and, they know that we're out there. They know there's other places that are willing to hire them, give them a shot if that's the industry that they're in. So I think
Yeah.
I just think relationships in general across the board are very important.
Absolutely. How do you prioritize proactive risk management within the company and sort of like on a daily basis, right? So we already talked about before you start the company, before you start a business, you need to do the best you can to fully immerse yourself in and understand the risks going in. But once you're in, it's like, okay, we're just trying not to drown, right? So what do you do to sort of keep proactive risk management top of mind, sort of as you're trying to run a profitable business?
Oh, I think that's a tough one, Megan. I don't know. I mean, I just think
You don't have all the answers, Heather?
No, not no. You think you learn every day. If I stop learning, I'm in trouble. I mean, I think it's something we think about every day. Like I said, I think just being in business is a risk. So I think we just try to mitigate them as they come almost. But again, just knowing that the team's in place, should the risk be bigger than the phone call I can handle, or that I can have with the other builder or the employee or whatever, however that works out. I mean, because there's risks with having employees, there's risks with the builders. I mean, there's nothing about owning a business and having employees that doesn't bring any risk. So I think it's something we think about every day, some days more than others, depending on what the phone calls and the emails bring. But again, I honestly feel it's just the team that you have knowing behind you. It's like, the behind the curtain, what's happening, those behind the scenes moments when everyone's running around. And at least it's like, okay, call Megan, call this person, call your insurance company, put out the fire. Yeah. I think that's, you don't want to always be in that feeling of where you're trying to put out the fires or that you're, not knowing what to do. So yeah, I think it's just having a team in place.
I'm sensing a common theme here, Heather. I think you're putting a big priority and emphasis on people. And I love that.
I think people are important. There's not, AI can't do everything.
Right? That's so funny. Right before we hopped on, I had another video call with somebody and we were talking about, I guess there's like the newest thing with ChatGPT is it can now talk to it can talk to itself. So you can have two. So she's telling me this and she's like, oh yeah, like you can have it on one phone and it'll talk and it'll have a full conversation with the ChatGPT. And I was like, but why? Like, why though?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that?
Yeah,
what's the purpose of that?
I can't even imagine.
I know. Just a quick aside. For those of you who don't know, I also teach construction law and contracts for the UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education School in their construction management program. And I have a co-teacher, Julie Riles, and we were chatting about the most recent assignment that the students, well, not most recent now, but a recent assignment that the students have where they had to identify the types of indemnity clauses. And just out of pure curiosity about how developed AI is actually getting with this, because it's my worst nightmare when I hear people saying like, oh, I ran my contract through ChatGPT and so now it's fine. And I'm like, no. Perfect. So we gave the contract language to ChatGPT and said, what kind of indemnity language is this? Because that was the homework assignment. So we already know the answers, but like what kind of indemnity? We asked it 3 separate times. She did it, I did it, and then we used a different AI program. And we got 3 different answers. Oh,
that's comforting.
Terrifying?
Yeah. No, I don't need, no.
Right? No for me. This is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I'm pounding my hands on, like, don't rely on ChatGPT for your contract review. Don't rely on ChatGPT for your contract review.
No, I will call you. I promise.
Oh, my goodness. It's so bad. Okay. Can you share a success story where effective risk management led to increased profits or prevented significant losses?
Again, the biggest success story is the one with our national builder. It stopped the losses. I don't know that I have an example of where risk management has led to increased profits. I think the profits happen because you have the risk management in place.
Yep.
So I think kind of one begets the other. But as far as the preventing significant losses, definitely having what we had in place with you and, the experts and all the people that came to for our lawsuit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you really mentioned something really profound there, because a lot of times when I'm talking about increasing profits through proactive risk management, I think there's a little bit of a disconnect, because it's sort of what you just articulated, which is like, well, one begets the other, right? And it's like, yeah, but any little thing that you do that increases your bottom line is going to then increase your top line, right? So having those strategies in place ahead of time, even if there's a cost associated with them, that can lead to, in the long term, a decreased outlay in losses, or in sort of those other ways where you're maybe not necessarily getting a job you wouldn't have otherwise gotten, but maybe the job you have is a little bit more profitable because you had a proactive risk management strategy in place that allowed you to, for example, really leverage the language in the contract to maximize your profits on a change order, right? So now you've got more money above and beyond the original contract price, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, it's hard. It's hard to give it exact, like I said, it's hard to give exact pinpoint.
Yeah.
Projects that have won because of that. But I think it's all a win, especially knowing when I don't have to call those people and the project's done and the contract's done,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just depressed Josh entirely. He just doesn't want to do anything now. He's just, good thing you're just a stay-at-home dad, Josh. So it's fine. You don't have to worry about any of this.
No, own a business. It's fun. I mean, I enjoy knowing that it's ours and it's something that we've built, and it's not without its sleepless nights, but I think it's the most rewarding. As I learned to transition from just being a project manager to actually stepping forward, and as my dad talks succession, I can do my job in my sleep, but learning to manage people is a whole new entity for me. But it's fun learning. It's fun doing, it's fun knowing that we've been behind some really cool projects over the years, and seeing how the business has changed has been fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't let Josh fool you, by the way, he owns a business.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yes.
It's all a facade. This is a reference to the fact that like 98% of the conversations that we have, I always have to say, well, it depends, because I'm sure you can relate, Heather. I think like 98% of the conversations we have start with me going, well, it depends, and then asking 65 follow-up questions.
That is, yes. Yeah, there's always different outcomes.
I know. I was like, well, I have 53 questions. It's like a flow chart. I'm like, I have 53 questions, and the answer to those will depend on my next 63 questions, and then maybe I can give you an answer beyond it depends.
Yeah, well, it's even us leading up for today when I was asking you, can I say this? Can I say that? It's like, well, you can, but.
Right. No, I was like, no. And then I was like, well, it depends.
Maybe.
You can. As your attorney, I'm going to recommend you not.
Yes.
But you can. Okay, let's see. Oh, I like this one. Okay. What do you see as the future trends in risk management for the construction industry?
I don't know that I know anything about future trends in risk management. I don't know that I see it getting any easier to manage the risks, especially in California. I mean, owning a home is already getting hard enough to get, homeowners insurance, let alone for them to start giving out the insurance unless you're perfect on all of your injury claims and your vehicles and all of those things. I feel it's only going to get harder to manage the risks that are coming towards construction. Yeah. I don't think people value construction as much as they should. Oh, so, yes. I mean, yes. We were allowed to work during COVID. That should say something, but yeah, I don't know that it's going to get any easier for risk management. And then again, same theme is just having the right people in place that know what's coming in place. Yeah. I mean, I do the little webinars. I educate myself where I can and see what's going on, to try to stay ahead of things. But there's a lot out there to try to avoid.
So I don't think we've ever actually had this conversation before. I think I know the answer, but we've never talked about this. But this came up in a similar question in another live stream that I participated in a while back. The idea of sort of captives from an insurance standpoint as a mechanism to, because as you articulated, and I have said before as well, it's becoming increasingly impossible to get insurance of any kind in this state, whether it's personal lines or business lines, commercial lines. It's becoming increasingly impossible to just have insurance at all.
Yes.
And so I have been hearing a lot more sort of almost whispers, right? I don't know that anybody's really ready to like wave the flag that captives are the answer, but I've been hearing a lot more people sort of questioning whether a shift towards captives might be a way to manage the risk as it pertains to the lack of commercially available insurance. You guys don't currently use captives for any?
We don't use captives. We've seen as far as in residential home building, we've seen a lot of success for us with the OSIPs, with the wraps, when they do the wrap insurance. That seems to protect us more than anything has in the, previously. But that's the biggest thing I see. I don't see people doing the captives.
Yeah. I feel like I need to dig in more on captives. I'm like so curious. I'm captive curious.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see if they change the way that they approach the insurance for construction, because it's kind of backwards.
Yeah, I feel like I've been sort of like commercial insurance CGL monogamous, but now I'm getting a little bit captive curious. So I have to do a little bit of flirting and see what I can find out about that.
Insurance makes my head explode. I just sit there. So it's like, reading a whole different language for me. Sometimes it's like, can you explain that thrice, please?
I know, but fortunately, and I won't say much more than this. You can say whatever you want, but fortunately, I can personally say you have a wonderful broker who is committed to helping walk you through that stuff and making sure that you do understand it. So that's a benefit that not everybody has.
Yeah, no, Beach and O'Neill have been fantastic for us. Yeah. We love them. Yeah, great team over there.
Yeah. And I always love a broker who views me as an ally as opposed to an enemy, because I have been viewed as an enemy even by our mutual clients' brokers. And that just makes it hard. Yeah, it's perplexing.
That's weird. Yeah.
It is. It's weird. I'm like, we are on the same side. We both are trying to get the best outcome for our mutual client. Why wouldn't we work together on this?
Yeah.
And Beach and O'Neill, since you said it, Beach and O'Neill, I mean, they at every turn, like we partner constantly, and it's like, okay, let's strategize this out. Let's game plan this out. What do we need to do? How can we tackle this? What role can we play, Megan? What role do we need you to play? Like it's a really collaborative effort. So I can't say enough about the importance and the impact of having a stellar grade A construction specific broker. It makes all the difference.
Yes. No, I mean, and even having, you as a construction specific attorney. I think we didn't have that in the past. It was, we had this attorney and he just kind of worked his way through it. But having you that's, focused on that has been a game changer for us.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I've said that in the past, when I'm talking generally sort of like, okay, when you're looking for an attorney, it really does make a difference if they actually truly do have construction specific experience. Yeah. It's not just like your general practitioner or even necessarily your general business attorney, even though, as you know, Heather, our firm is a business firm. We represent businesses of all kinds. And there, of course, is some commonality and some overlap, but there is nuance to the construction industry specifically. And if you don't know it and understand it, then you run the risk, I'll say that, you run the risk of not being able to get the best possible result for your construction company client because you just, again, don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's huge. And plus, the players, you know what I mean? Yeah. You can advise your clients, get away from them quickly, run, don't walk.
That master agreement as soon as you can.
Yes, exactly. So let me review that master agreement, please.
Okay. What advice would you give to other subcontractors who are considering investing in proactive risk management?
I think it goes back to vetting the people that you're hiring. There's a lot of people that are out there not to do good by you. And we've been fortunate that we haven't had, anyone that's really screwed us over since my dad started the business. But finding Megan, finding Beach and O'Neill, finding those important partners has really changed our business and how we approach it. And again, just knowing that I can make those phone calls to the people that know more than me, that are immersed in that business and that daily conversations. So yeah, I think it's just vetting the people that you're working for and making sure, and that's, calling other businesses and, if you work with another subcontractor or contractor that you like their work, ask them who their insurance people are. More people are willing to share and give you that information. I think that's the best way for me with anything is if it's a recommendation from somebody. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, people and relationships. You're on a theme there. I love it.
I'm huge on it. It's important.
Okay, we're coming up on the tail end. We're almost done. You've been a trooper hanging in there with me for almost an hour. Can you believe 50 minutes have already passed?
I can. No, it went by fast. I've had fun.
I know. Right? Like
totally terrifying.
Heather's never done this before, guys. Heather is like a new. So she was a little bit nervous, understandably, as was I my first time. And so I was like, trust me, like it's going to be fun. It's going to be fine. So I'm glad that you're having a good time, Heather.
Yeah, no, it was easy. It was good.
Okay. So where can our audience find you? Where can they find, that stands for Sherman Lair Custom Tile Works, for those of you out there that don't know what SLCT is, and learn more about you and your company and the services that you offer.
I'm at Heather at ShermanLair.com. Our website is ShermanLair.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook as Heather Lair on everything. If you have any questions about tile, like I said, we do commercial, we do residential. If you can put tile on it, we'll try it. So we've done a house out in Woodland that was the whole face of the house was done in glass mosaic tiles. So we'll try anything.
What? How have I not heard this story?
Mr. Lair never shared that one with you? Yeah. We tiled the outside of a house. It was 12,000 square feet of 5/8 by 5/8 glass. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sure you must have pictures, right? Like I have to see this.
No, I think Mr. Lair has some that were published in a magazine, but he would not allow us to take photos of the property on site. So
the owner wouldn't, or your dad?
The owner wouldn't.
Oh, no.
So we were out there for 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Was this before me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm like, how did all of this happen?
I'm surprised Mr. Lair never shared because he tells everybody about this house. So you'll have to give him a bad time for not knowing. Yeah, it's a pretty cool project. Yeah.
I am going to give him a hard time, and I'm going to make him give me the address so at least I can do like a Google Street View.
Yeah.
Oh, a drive by even bet. Well, I don't know if I'm driving all the way to Woodland. That's a pretty big drive for me, Heather.
True. You're coming from the other way. Yes. Yeah. Very true. Yes.
So I popped up here just the name, how to spell the name, because Lair is not a name that people are going to spell correctly.
No, they won't. It's been butchered my whole life, so it's okay.
And you didn't mention it, but Heather is on LinkedIn, obviously.
Oh, yes.
So you can find her on LinkedIn. She's not quite as active as I am, but I'm pulling her along. She's getting a little bit more active as time goes on. So send her a connection request on LinkedIn, loop her into the conversation. She's not posting yet, but she is commenting. So
I am. Yes.
It's okay. It's baby steps. All of us do have the same thing.
Yes.
Okay. How can people connect with you or your company if they have further questions? I think you gave here. I'm going to just pop up your email address. Heather. There's no hyphen in the email address, is there?
No, ma'am.
I should know that. Okay. I'm like, it just auto populates. I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Yes. That's all.
Is that it? Did I get it right?
You did. Good job.
Okay, good. And then I also don't know the website off the top of my head because again,
it's ShermanLair.com.
Okay.
Makes it easy.
It just auto-populates for me because honestly, I haven't been to your website probably in years, to just be totally honest. Because
it's under construction at the moment. We're working with someone to get some new photos and jazz it up a bit. It was a little outdated, so it needed some work. So
I love
finalizing that. But there should be a placeholder there anyway that gives some general information.
Do you have a projected date for unveiling the new website?
I don't. I need to circle back with our marketing gal this week. We had some final, like about us and, the detail stuff to get through. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was a blast. I always have fun talking with you, but I appreciate that you were willing to do it live on camera.
It was, like I said, it was really fun. I didn't know what to expect, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
Good. So since now, you've had your inaugural run, you're not a newbie anymore.
No.
Now maybe you'll join me at my next live stream. Well, no, not my next one. My next one's on Wednesday. For anybody watching, I have another live stream. I'm guesting on Build Exact's. We're doing a webinar with Build Exact it's Wednesday. I should have been ready for this. It's Wednesday at 9, I think. I think I sent invites, but anyways, that's Wednesday. But then after that, we have our Josh and Goose and I have our neighborhood coffee shop where
Nice.
we welcome everybody to come join us on camera, and we just chat about various topics that have come up on LinkedIn that are topics of conversation common to the industry at the time. And so we would love to have you join us for that now that you're super comfortable on camera.
I would love it. Yes, I will get it on my calendar for sure.
I will make sure and send you an
Enjoy the
invite.
conversation. Yes, please do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Heather. I'm going to hit
Thank
end,
you.
but you don't need to leave yet. It'll just
Okay.
end the live part of it.
All right.
So we can brief. Okay.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
everybody. See you next time.
Thanks.